Call this meeting to order of the regular meeting of the City Commission for Rio Grande City. It's Wednesday, February the 10th, 2016, approximately 6:01 p.m. here at the meeting room at Kelsey Bass Museum and Event Center, 101 South Washington Street, here in Rio Grande City, Texas. We go ahead and have Commissioner Hernan Garza, the invocation, or Pro Tem Mayor Hernan Garza, the invocation, followed by Commissioner Ramirez with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for giving us the opportunity to get together and conduct city business. We ask that you give us the wisdom to make the right decisions. We ask you, Lord, also to bless Rio Grande, that you bless the state of Texas and the United States. We ask that you bless our police officers, and we ask that you bless those in harm's way, our soldiers and our people that are protecting our country. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee,
Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Ms. Guerrero, will you please follow with roll call?
Yes,
Finding
thank
of
you.
quorum.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Villarreal,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Garza,
Here.
Commissioner Salinas is absent. Commissioner Ramirez?
Here.
Commissioner Jones?
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. All right, next business and orders, letter D, departmental reports.
Two, sir. 2A. Oh, I'm sorry, D.
1D, yes, 1D, departmental reports. I'm already skipping again.
I thought you were skipping.
As other, all right, so we are correct, departmental reports.
Yes, sir. Mayor and Commissioners, in your packet, you have reports from all the departments. They are present. If you have any questions, they've been working hard in getting some events, some reports, some deadlines. I know the police department is working on some grants that are on the agenda. They also had an event, renovated, brand-new 911 consoles, state-of-the-art. They were very nice. We had people from Laredo and different counties. You know,
Chief Castillo, would you like to elaborate a little bit on that? Those good news?
911 came over and Ms. Tienda, she's the one in charge of 911, and they did the upgrades to a lot of the 911 facilities, and they made a bunch of upgrades in the 911 facilities from during this in this area, and I think that the biggest repair or the makeover was the Rio Grande City Police Department. So they asked us if we could get a luncheon together, so everybody that had upgrades or had a new dispatch center fixed or made in the department, so they could come and see this one because it was the largest one. It was the last stop. So I think it was 30 people that we gave lunch to, and Lieutenant Willis, he's the one that cooked all the stuff for us, and it was really good. We had a good turnout. They had a tour of the facility. I think it was a little bit over 100,000 that they put into that dispatch office, and anybody's welcome to see. We just need to cover the 911, the T-list terminal if anybody's going to see it, but it's really nice. It was a big upgrade, and it's a lot different. The room is a lot bigger. It's good for the future. So.
Have some of the issues, Mr. Castillo, about the 911, such as some of the streets are having different names. I know where I live in Ranchito, the north end of it. Sometimes you would call, for example, CPNL, and they would have us under El Cuchillo or some other name other than Barreta Street.
Correct. I think
has those things been addressed already and corrected?
Yes, I think that could be corrected through 911, and as long as I guess you have to go in person, so because they have a map that you have to pick out your street and upgrade that at that point. Because we do, it depends what comes up on the map and how we get the information. But I'll look into it. I'll give you a call and we'll see what we could do with that, Commissioner.
This construction, this has become actually the template that they're going to be using for the rest of dispatching offices throughout the region.
that they get automatic tables, they move up or down, they can
Pneumatic.
sit down, they can stand up. Everything is, all the panels, all the screens are on top of, they're stood up in the, it's not what it used to be, so it's something that's futuristic, and they're talking about, later on, be able to text 911 messages and stuff, and be able to respond. So, the upgrades are coming, and it's state of the art, which is good.
To go ahead and proceed and have just detailing a description with a video with Mr. Salinas, so that way we can put it on the Access channel.
Yes,
Is
we
that
we do have
doable?
pictures already, Mayor.
Okay.
We have the before and the after, where they were working out of and where they're working out of now. So we're gonna put all that together, so we'll get
Perfect.
on the action.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You know.
Thank you.
I'm going to skip on to the City Secretary. You've got a long list of events, opportunities to represent the city. I know several employees, department heads will be present. I'm going to go and let Holly go real quickly through some of these items that are coming up.
Okay, as early as this Saturday, the 13th, we have the Art Walk in conjunction with the Rio Brewing Beer and Wine Tasting. That's there on the street there, I believe it's Garza Street, in front of the restaurant there. And it's from noon to 5. It should be a very lively event, and I'm sure the ladies hope to see y'all there.
We shall be there.
Okay, excellent. Monday, City Hall offices are closed, but there is a groundbreaking that day in Roma for the 229th Ayuda Center, which includes the first ever Starr County Child Advocacy Center. You know, we have all heard of Esperanza House, but we've never had a facility like that here, and now we have that type of facility, so people don't have to travel all the way to McAllen for that type of need. Our Winter Texan Appreciation here at the Kelsey Bass is scheduled for Friday, February the 19th. And they put together a little flyer. I'm sure they'll be getting that out shortly. It should be a fun day. You're certainly welcome to go. There'll be proaitas and mariachi and
Folklorico.
hopefully a lot of Winter Texans. The youth fair is getting underway on the 20th. That will be the parade on the 20th, that Saturday at 10, and then the wild game dinner that evening at the Starr County Fairgrounds. We have our Historic Preservation Board meeting coming up on the 23rd. And then we have a Region 12 meeting. I think you have a flyer at your desk. This is a meeting of a lot of the cities in the valley that participate with TML. And they have regional meetings from time to time. It's a chance to go and meet other elected officials and for staff to meet their counterparts. And to sort of get a feel of what's going on in other cities. That'll be at the Mansion in Palmhurst on Sherry at 6 in the evening. Then, of course, the youth fair starts Friday the 26th. And then the La Esperanza del Rio Grande opening all the way to the end of March. So hopefully I can get these calendars out to y'all so you have a better idea chronologically of what's going on. And if there are any questions on these events, you can always call us at City Hall.
On the wild game dinner, the 20th, do we have a representation from the city? Do we have a booth there, or do we participate in that at all?
I don't know.
That's only if someone is going to be cooking or providing beverages or auctioning up some items. I don't know if anyone has a cooking team on the council. Wild game.
I'm sure they'd welcome your participation, right?
So, I mean, all our participation?
Yes, well, but we'd love to see you there
But we
cooking.
haven't had it before, so, all right, so I guess we can look at to see what everybody
Yeah.
is able to cook, is that? All right, anything else on the,
On the departmental reports, I do want to call Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein, on your report and some of the projects and improvements on the city.
Yes, ma'am. We were being delayed for the digital meters because there was an error in the calculations. They were charging 189,000 more than they were supposed to be. So we'll probably be delayed about 10 days or 15 days.
You've also worked on several major leaks in the city.
Yes, ma'am. We work on one on going to La Lomas, right next to the school. And we also had one on Fairground Road. It was a 8-inch line and a 16-inch line measure leaks.
Did we already connect all these lines over to the?
To the back?
On the left, right?
Yes.
And all of these,
Yes, we only need to go from Garcia's all the way to all 83, but there's no alley, so we need to replace the line to the front. There's no way to put it to it, there's no alley. So,
but as far as all of these, we're already connected
To the
line
end,
over
yes,
here,
sir.
line over here,
Yes, sir.
okay.
I know that y'all are gonna be starting also on Second Street. There's a section also with,
yes, that's on the small section on Second Street. They're probably about 4 or 5 meters.
and the goal is, Mayor and Commissioners, is to get all of these old lines
Cast iron
abandoned.
lines.
They're
They're
old
cast iron
cast iron
lines,
lines. And right thereafter, the Texas Department of Transportation will be coming in and doing overlay and some millings on all the highway inside city limits, which is between Roque Guerra to the fire department
Yes.
So all of these,
on both Main and Second.
We also fixed today the manhole right there at Kane Street. We had put a plat there. It's already been corrected, but we need to leave it covered for at least 48 hours, is what TxDOT told us.
okay.
But it's been corrected, fixed.
Thank you, Mr. Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Klein.
I guess real quickly, I'll have Sarah to just explain a little bit more on the Rio Brewery, the event on this Saturday with the art walk and the Winter Texan Appreciation.
We have this one, yeah.
Yes, because this is what they consider a combined event. It is the Rio Grande City Public Library's Art Walk, which will be housed in the Laborde Courtyard. And along the street of Garza, we will have the beer tents, some vendors, some food vendors. There will be a chili con carne cook-off that's being done by LNF. And La Borde House is gonna be open for tours since we let them know that we invited our Winter Texans at the Winter Texan Convention. They wanted to make sure that they were available for tours because that is a tourist destination to go and look around La Borde. And the Ches Mexican Cuisine is also gonna be giving out samples. And this event is gonna be this Saturday. It's gonna run from 12 to 5 on Garza Street. Rio Brew has hired security for the event, and they will be there throughout the event. So hopefully it's a good time and nice clean fun. And then February 19th, like Holly mentioned, we have our Winter Texan Appreciation, and that's gonna be in the Tijerina Courtyard. And we sold tickets at the Winter Texan Convention. We sold 60 tickets, so we're gonna have the first group of 30 take the trolley tour at 10. When they come back at noon, we'll also have the second group. So we'll have the 60 Winter Texans from 12 to 1:30. And we're gonna have mariachi, which is the high school mariachi from Rio, the Mariachi Cascabel. We'll be playing for them, and we're gonna have a folkloric dance, so. And maybe we're trying to get some margaritas. To give them the true, experience. And actually, we've gotten such good positive feedback from the restaurants, the local restaurants. How many do we have, Diana, working with? We have 11 local restaurants that are gonna give us free probaditas. So there are samples of some of their dishes. So I know we have carne guisada and tostadas and taco pirata and
Wingless, salsa,
pasta.
frijoles en jarro.
So a lot of typical Mexican cuisine and also other types of foods as well. So they know that we have a variety down here. So those are some of the events that we're working on for this month, and of course, we're already working into the future events for our 4th of July event. So that is already taking place. We're having coordination meetings for that. And the museum, we're pretty much almost done with the space. And the souvenir shop, we're gonna have a soft opening the same day as the Winter Texan Appreciation event on February 19th. So we'll have t-shirts and mugs, tote bags, and things to sell. So I welcome all of y'all to join us that day. It's gonna be, if you have time during your lunch break, to come and and spend the lunch hour with us. Any questions?
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
As y'all can see, the event center, the Kelsey Bass Event Center is being used. It's being called upon also to be scheduled. Anyone wanting to use the facilities, please call City Hall and contact with Sarah Hernandez to get scheduled. We have the large group outside, which is the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program that United Way of South Texas assists the city with. They're all volunteers. They're all working to help the citizens be able to get their income tax free, report file free. We do have other departments, and they're out there. We want to call in anyone else. Those were some of the highlights I had for this meeting.
Very good, thank you.
Unless a department head would like to contribute any information, anyone that's just want to highlight any other information that you want to provide here? If not, then we'll continue. No? All right. Let's move on to number 2, consent agenda. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered to be routine by the commission and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. However, if discussion is desired, that item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Letter A, approval of departmental travel request, and letter B, approval of EDC action from meeting of February 10th, 2016.
Mayor, I move that we approve consent agenda, item A and item B.
Okay, we have a motion to
Second.
approve. We have a second. Any further discussion? Further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye opposed. Motion carries. Next business in order is number 3, ordinances. Letter A, second reading and approval of ordinance number 2016-1, establishing a no parking area on Trophy Street from US Highway 83 South to Brand Street.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is the second reading. At the last meeting that we had the first reading, there was discussion whether to have it permanently as a no parking zone. I think the consensus was just for the time of the election. So this second reading has that change, which would be the area will be a no parking zone only during April 25th, 2016 through May 7th, 2016, and or any subsequent election periods of early voting and election day voting. So that was the only change on the second reading.
Have a motion?
I so move, Mayor.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Have a second. Any further discussion? Further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye opposed. Next business in order is letter B, under number 3, which is first reading and approval of ordinance number 2016-2, establishing voting procedures for the May 7th, 2016 election.
Mayor, this is the ordinance for calling the election order,
Okay.
placing dates, places for early voting and deputy and voting clerks, and also for leasing the equipment. You do have a list of the clerks, and Holly can go down the list. Or if you all have any other changes on the ordinance. The election will be held at 5332 East US Highway 83, which is where the new city hall is located. There's no other
I have no
motion.
changes, Ms. Beth. I trust Ms. Holly to, get people who are knowledgeable about the, course, election procedures and all that, so I'm fine with the recommendation.
Okay. Motion?
I so move.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye opposed. Motion carries. Next is letter C, first reading and approval of ordinance 2016-3, amending the 2015-2016 general, special, and enterprise funds budget.
Mayor and Commissioner, this is the first reading. This is a budget amendment. We've had several expenses that were not in the budget. They were unforeseen. One of them being a true victory on our part because it'll be a savings. We had a renewal for the loan on the library. That renewal was a very high interest rate. We were not given any competitive rates. And we did have the funds available to pay it off and save the money and the interest. So we'll be free on the library loan.
And we'll be saving The
We'll,
interest
we'll
rate.
be saving close to 30,000 in interest.
Okay.
We also had to make some renovations. When we did occupy the Music Hall, they had the coaxial version for internet. We had to put in fiber optics, so we had to have that high-speed communication, since we do have to communicate with the public works, library, places that are not close in there. So that also created an expense on that part.
Is that gonna be including the Wi-Fi or what,
Yes, sir. The Music Hall will have Wi-Fi in the lobby area and in the meeting room. So we also had to incur some additional audit fees, professional fees, to finish off the contract that we had prior and the new auditor that we contracted with, Raul Hernandez. So all in all, the additional cost totaled to $238,752. That is in the general fund, and in the Economic Development Corporation, as you heard previously, that increase was $108,926, and mostly due to the new business grants, as we just saw a while ago, that were issued out. The budget amendment also calls to establish the new enterprise fund, which is the solid waste and brush collection and disposal, making it a self-sustaining fund, where the fees that are collected is to sustain the operation of the brush collection. And you have also that sample budget in your packet. Those are the total items for the budget amendment, unless somebody has any questions.
Any questions? No. Entertain a motion?
So movement.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Any further discussion? Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Next, business in order is number 4, resolutions. Letter A, discussion and possible action to approve resolution number 2016-3, authorizing the submission of a grant application for the Border Star Program, Local Border Security Program, Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is a grant that is applied by the Police Department. I know it's here. It has been regularly funded. It funds the overtime hours when an officer's on duty and then has to go on and patrol areas that are due to trafficking and also some border smuggling. Usually those hours would be charged to the general fund. Now, because of this grant application, they can be charged to this funds and not impact us.
Is it for the same amount as last year?
No, it's more, sir. I think last year was about 183, and now it's 194,000 that it's being applied for.
It's 194. We usually go with, we have 2 different programs, which is Soul Garden and Border Star. The application is for a little bit more. It's an application for the fund, so we have to submit a resolution prior to that, and we'll see when we get that. That's the amount that is going to be
This is
applied.
just for, I'm sorry, this is just for overtime
This
work
is for
or
overtime.
specifically to,
For border security.
Border security?
Yes, so we won't have to use our regular guys to be doing that, so the other units will focus on the areas that we're having issues.
how's communication with the DPS?
Our communication over the radio, we don't have that, to that point yet. We can communicate if it's an emergency, even with a helicopter. But we have meetings regularly with them. Every Thursday, we have conference calls with DPS and Border Patrol and everybody in our area. So we get all the information across. We get emails and all that other stuff. So we get good communication with them also. So it works out pretty good.
So movement.
Okay, we have a motion to
I'll second
approve.
the motion.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is letter B, discussion and possible action to approve resolution 2016-4, authorizing the submission of a grant application for the body worn camera program, Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division.
Yes,
Go ahead, Noe.
You want me to do it?
Go ahead, Chief.
Okay, this is a grant for body worn cameras that, they're expensive. They're about $800 each plus software and everything else that goes along with it. The governor's office has made available grant monies for us to be able to purchase cameras for our officers. We have, I think, 13 at this point, and this would actually bring it up to almost every officer having their own individual camera. You know, they download pretty quick. It actually goes together with our, the unit cameras that we just purchased. They park where there's Wi-Fi, they start uploading the video automatically, and, you know, this expedites everything that we do, and it's a lot easier. You know, I could get feed from my office, and, you know, it's accessible a lot quicker. And, you know, there is a cash match too, it's 25%, it's like about $3,000 that we'll get in forfeiture. So it's a good program, and, you know, it has actually cleared up a lot of our incidents with both cameras, because they also sync together, so it's pretty good. It'll be the same ones that we got right now.
All the officers have one already, no?
No, they have to actually interchange cameras as they're coming across, because they're expensive. They're about $800 each. So we just bought enough for a shift, and they have to download them and recharge them and that stuff. So
Well, is that including the software and the
this includes the
setup and
software, the cloud to store the information, and everything else within the grant. So it's a pretty good system. We will have to. We have policies right now, but we'd have to implement other policies and training, and, you know, what the governor's office is winding up for us to do. So we have to do reports every year as to, you know, if we have the cameras, if they were fixed and stuff like that. So that's what the guidelines are required.
So the goal is 100% of officers having their,
We will have, if everybody has to come in for whatever reason, this also includes body worn cameras for investigators, and which they don't have at this point. You know, and it makes a difference if you actually see it, so it's a good improvement.
I was gonna comment, Mayor, that I noticed the training's not budgeted. We budgeted for that to help them out with that, or it's not in the grant, so I don't know how much that costs.
The training,
Training.
the training, we usually get it through our own cog, through the Laredo
South
Police
Texas Development
Police Academy. We just have to pay for like a per diem and some others. It's not too much that we have to pay for them to come in to give us training.
And the second one was, I think Chief mentioned, was I recommend, sit with Jackie, maybe adopt some of those policies to the local level. I think it's very important, you know, especially if you're downloading on Wi-Fi and that kind of thing, just to protect us locally. Just an idea.
Yeah, I know you've done some upgrades where it was taking time to get off from their unit, go in, upload the video. So now as they go by, and they're even using your hotspots.
Yes, and then
You're
we
able
have
to update that
also Wi-Fi at
information.
substation, so they park and, you know, it's uploading, so it works pretty good.
So, move, Mayor.
Second.
a motion to approve. We have a second. Any further discussion? Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, business in order is letter C, discussion and possible action to approve resolution number 2016-5, authorizing the financing of the automated water meter system purchase with RG3 Meter Company.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is the financing package you have in your council package, stating all the payments. As y'all remember, it was no down payment, zero interest.
Zero interest, yes.
Yes. And so total amount, after we added all commercial meters also to be digital, came out to $1,282,125.14 to be paid to the public utility. Our return of investment should be shown within the second or third year. So, the resolution is different, and also that they ask that it requires specific wording as a qualified tax exempt obligation. So, and I think, Ms. Jackie, you saw this, and it's in your package, the recommendation.
Have a motion?
I move that we approve resolution 2016-5.
Okay, we have a motion to approve resolution. We have a second. Have a second. Any further discussion on this item? Further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye opposed, motion carries. Next, business in order is number 5, contracts and agreements. Letter A, discussion and possible action to approve an interlocal agreement for radio service with Rio Grande Valley Communications Group for services related to Homeland Security activities.
Mayor, this is kind of like the third phase. A while ago, you remember, we went for the radio upgrades, and then we moved forward to the radio antenna upgrades. Now, this is an association where we'll be joining and cutting costs, and I'm going to let Chief Reyes explain a little bit more on those cost savings.
Go ahead.
With this agreement, we come in, joining an agreement with the Rio Grande Valley Communication Group. What it consists of is, the valley has 11 sites, towers, throughout Bronzeville, Ravenville, La Jolla, Mission, McAllen. So we're gonna be joining our tower with them, connecting the towers all together. We're gonna be the post site to join the communication group. The city, all public service, public works, fire, police, anybody that has a radio is gonna be able to have access from Rio Grande all the way to Bronxville. Meaning that if PD is traveling to La Jolla, Mission, or McAllen, they're gonna be able to access their police officers, transportation, whatever we need in case of a big disaster. We're gonna have that ability now to be doing that. You know that Chief Garza is looking at me like, they're also, if they do join the communication group, they're also gonna have that ability to do that. DPS, we were talking last time, several meetings back, that DPS is asking us when are we gonna come on board, when are we gonna come on board. The reason why is because they don't have the ability to communicate only on their cars, because there's a longer range and wattage on their mobile units than instead of their portables. So they cannot really reach their offices when they're in the ground. So once we come on board, they're gonna be able to have that access, because their main hub or the main communication center is in West Local for DPS. So they're gonna be able to have access all the way from, hopefully, to Zampata and all the way to Bronxville, all over the valley. Like Chief Castillo was just saying earlier, on those operations that they're gonna be having along the border and the river or whatever, they're gonna be able to have access and communication with DPS, Border Patrol. Everybody is trying to join the communication group because of the the coverage that they have. Hopefully in the future, I believe DPS is gonna be purchasing some towers. They wanna go up north and also Texas. So their goal is to be able to communicate all the way to Austin without being able to change the frequencies or whatever. So that's something for the future, but that's what they're looking at. Now, I know if you look at the memo that I sent, it says that it's gonna be reducing the cost. Right now, we're paying close to about $75,000 in cost. But we say the cost $75,000, we're including the T1 lines that we have from dispatch to our tower. We're paying about $4,000 a month on telephone lines with Verizon. I believe that they went up, about a month ago. Now we think almost $5,000 a month. We're paying the tower lease. It's almost $10,000 a year. And our maintenance agreement to keep all the radio systems and the communication and dashboards and everything up to par in case they need any upgrades. It costs about $10,000 a year. With this, the communication group will be taking, on board the lease cost. The T1 lines are going to change them to fiber optic from McAllen all the way to our tower, and also the maintenance agreements for the tower. Any upgrades or whatever they need to be done, they're going to take care of that. How we're going to be doing? We're going to be paying a fee of $10 a month, but there'll be a a yearly annual fee that's going to be about $16,000 a year, more or less. That's what we're going to be paying in reference to $70,000.
So we're going from 75 to 16.
We're more than 75. So the
Now
more-
it's going to be more than 75 this coming year. Because I believe that the tower per the lease goes up every year, I think, right, hon?
Yeah,
So, and then the telephone lines are also going up. So
It's
we're
about
gonna be
85.
transitioning.
85,000.
Chief, have you all already been scheduled for the upgrades on the
As soon as we
radio
get the
unit?
radio.
No, we're not gonna do the upgrades at this point. The reason why is once the agreement gets executed, then they'll start working on the fiber optic. It's gonna take about 3 months. Hopefully, we're trying to work it to be done in about 6 weeks. Once they do that, then they're gonna start doing the upgrades slowly. They can't do everything at the same time, because once we do the upgrades, then we'll turn on the switch to switch everything to digital. We're trying to change from an analog system to a digital system, so we're gonna do it in phases. And we don't wanna interfere also with the rebanding part of it, so we're gonna take it in phases. We're gonna do some parts at the beginning, some of the radios and then the dispatch center and all that stuff. But it's gonna take a little bit of time.
There could be some loss of communication between entities, Chief.
Yes. Right now we're a standalone system. What it means is that we only communicate with ourselves here. We're not tied to anybody. We do communicate with the school PD. Roma, we have another radio and sheriff's office also, and DPS and things like that. Once we go a digital and tab to the McAllen site. Whoever's not on board with us, paying a fee or getting on board with them, they're not gonna be able to talk to ourselves. So we're gonna be only, we're working hand in hand with the school PD because those are the ones that work with our city PD. So we're trying to work with them hand in hand so that they can be on board at the time we make the transition.
The transition.
So anybody, I've told Roma, I've told the DA's office, Sheriff's office, anybody that wanna be on board at that point, you need to be on board by the time we make the transition, because at that point, who's not paying that fee or doesn't have an agreement with the city, it's gonna go offline.
And the scheduled date of actual transition would be when?
As soon as we execute, or you all execute the agreement, then hopefully within about a month and a half
Month and a-
or 2 months, because the thing that hardest is the fiber optic lines from McAllen to Rio Grande. They're changing it from a T1 line to a fiber optic because of the distance. So,
That's what they mean by regional coverage? They will jump on the regional or?
well, we're gonna be connected to the regional sites, but we're gonna be locally, in case of a big disaster, catastrophic event, or a big pursuit like they've had in the valley, we go into regional channels that we'll be able to talk to them at any time. We'll be able to listen to them at any time.
And I think the template changes for the different
Yes.
entities.
It's gonna be a bigger template. We're gonna be able to have communication with the valley in case of like the floodings we had last year and things like that. We'll be able to communicate with them, knowing what's going on throughout the events.
I was gonna say,
So-
just be careful, because it says when we switch to regional, it's $40 per unit.
A startup, and then thereafter it'll be $10 per radio per
Okay, so
year.
that's all, so it'll be
No, it's
Yeah.
a one-time.
One-time
thing.
40.
160 times 10, 16,000.
There's two options that we're looking at. We can go $40 if we allow them to program the template, or we can go on their own and just pay a setup fee. And then after that, if we go with them, we'll pay them $40, and now we can pay about $15 to $20 if we go on our own to do the programming with somebody else. Because you're taking the time out of the person that's in charge of that, trying to do that. If we're going on, after that, it's gonna be $10 a month per radio for full access. And anybody that's gonna have full access in the city, we decided to do that because at any time, anybody can talk to each other. So it's best that everybody's on board with the same type of deal.
So the agreement's gonna be through the city, so the DA's office, the sheriff department, and everybody else has to go through the city.
Well,
How's that gonna work?
there's two options. They can either go through the city and the city pays the communication group and they pay us, or they can go on their own. And I think it's best if they go on their own because it takes a little, it's gonna be more radios. Right now, we have it to 160, that's what we have. Looking at the whole county-wide, you probably look at about 250 to maybe 300. So you're gonna have that issue that what if they pay you or not?
Right, no, that's fine, that's why I asked, it's better if everybody do their own billing and.
And at any time, it's like a phone company, if you don't pay your bill, they just go ahead and shut it off. They have the authority to do that.
So as the commercial goes, we're gonna have better coverage for a lesser price. Is that what I hear you say? All right.
Got it in
All
show
right.
yet?
Thank you, Chief. Right, we have a motion to approve. We have a second, we have a second. Any further discussion on this item? Discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye opposed, motion carries. Next, business in order is letter B, discussion and possible action to rescind change order number 1 to TDA contract number 713409, Doino West Side Subdivision number 2, sanitary sewer project.
No action.
Mayor, no, those items have been already cleared up with the
Okay.
Texas Department of Agriculture, and so our 5B and C are not needed at this time.
Okay, so 5, B, and C, then there's gonna be no action on those items. Is that what-
Yes, sir.
Move on to number 6, planning. Letter A, understand that one was also
Yes,
for no action.
Exactly, sir. There was no action taken by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, so there's no action on item 6A. Next, business in order is letter B, discussion and possible action on request by Meldon Hunt for final approval of La Esperanza del Rio subdivision. Mr. Milan?
Go ahead.
Multi-family subdivision adjacent to General Ricardo Sanchez Elementary. They have fully complied with our request from the planning and zoning, also the conditions. They have paid their all their fees and paid water rights. Was a couple of conditions that have been met already. They escrowed one street light, but we already had the funding for it. And other than that, it was approved by the Planning and Zoning on February the 4th.
Approved by planning and zoning, any,
I was just wondering, Mayor, the memo states conditionally approved, are there any conditions involved or?
Well, like I said, we had a couple of items missing, like the street light, which they have already escrowed the money for.
Conditions of
That was, the condition was for the street lighting, and they have already wired the money, and it is in escrow. Mr. Guerra, Public Works Director, has already looked at the options of where he's gonna be placing the light and using those funds.
So, Mayor?
Before we approve, Mr. Milana, I guess concern with the sewer connection, has that been addressed?
Yes, sir.
So they're in compliance and all that?
Yeah.
okay, we have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Awesome.
Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion on this item? Further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Next is letter C under planning, discussion and possible action on request by Big Sky Plains LP for preliminary approval of Gran Cielo Addition subdivision.
Go ahead, Guerra.
Mayor, Commissioner, this similar subdivision, this was formerly known as Royal Garden subdivision on the south west corner of Eisenhower and Charco Blanco. It's been replatted due to change of layout of land acquisition they had. There's a list of conditional approval done by the Planning and Zoning Commission on February the 4th. And all those conditions had to be made, including water rights and the specific layouts of lots, the proposed lots 2 and 3 for the subdivision.
Now, this is for preliminary
It's
approval.
for preliminary only, yes.
And this is one of those same programs as the one next to Sanchez Elementary. And the reason it had to go through this process and with this condition was to meet the deadlines with the state of Texas, Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. I know that it's a long list, and it's something that the
That's
planning
correct.
department and
Yes.
utility department of public works have been tasked just to keep tabs on it, that all of them are complied with.
That's
Before
correct.
they come in with the final, everything's gotta be complied with.
A motion?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. We
With
have a second.
conditions.
The conditions, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion on this item? Further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, business in order is number 7, city manager's report. Letter A, presentation by Robert Peña Jr., Texas Energy Consultants of the Energy Review Study for Rio Grande City.
Mayor and Commissioners, we continue to strive to cut costs and save money. This is a second phase from the last presentation you had from EnviroLight, where we would certainly save money if we move on to the LED lighting. This presentation is on identifying a lower rate per kilowatt. We're currently tied in a contract that has a consortium of cities. And Mr. Beñat went ahead and did took our contract, took our billing, studied it, and this is what he came up with. Go ahead, Mr. Beñat.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, legal counsel. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you this evening. I think as we had previously mentioned, we would try to assist the city in the means of saving on your energy costs. Obviously, this is the second portion, which is the retail energy. And what we've done is we've conducted a review of your consumption and supply agreement, or agreements, I should say. We looked at the contract parameters and limitations. We attempted to formulate some type of a comparison of your obligation versus current market rates, and then try to make some recommendations. So just to cover a quick brief background, deregulation was implemented in Texas in 2001 by the Texas legislature. for commercial utilities in Texas. However, that excluded municipal districts and co-ops. Being that you're in a commercial utility district, it separated your transmission and distribution versus your consumption of energy. I believe in this area you're monitored by your TDSPs is AEP. So when something happens to your poles, your transformers, street lights, depending if you've taken them all over yet or not, AEP is the one that you call for that hardware. So as deregulation took place, then there were certain aggregation pools that were created, particularly on behalf of municipal and educational governmental entities. Some of those examples are like the GLO that assists municipal and counties. For school districts, you see that TASB in Region 1 created aggregation pools. So there have been many governmental entities here in the Rio Grande Valley that have been part of these aggregation pools over the last 14 years. Rio Grande City, on the next page, is a member of the Texas Coalition of Affordable Power. That was actually a merger of two aggregation pools, which was the South Texas Aggregation Project and the city's aggregation project. There's presently over 172 municipal or governmental members enrolled in TCAP. And from what I saw, TCAP had joined, Rio Grande City had joined TCAP prior to 2011. I'm estimating probably in the area of around 2008 or so, but it might have been even sooner than that. What we saw in terms of your history, your retail energy contract, Rio Grande City signed an agreement sometime prior to 2011. The original contract was unavailable, and I believe Ms. Baez, from our last conversation, was still working at attempting to obtain a copy of that. However, what we did find in terms of the resolutions with TCAP is that that contract was due to expire in December of 2013. So what happened at sometime in 2011 was the then City Commission and city leaders authorized TCAP to negotiate an extension on behalf of the city that would begin in January of 2014 and end in December of 2017. Okay. Presently, under that agreement, your current energy charge is 0.074485 cents per kilowatt hour. That's excluding your transmission and distribution charges. Okay, that's what you're presently paying under your current energy contract. Why do we take out the TDSB charges? Is because AEP cannot raise or lower its rates whenever they want. They're regulated still by the state, and only if the state legislature makes changes to those TDSBs will then AEP make changes to their costs. So for the most part, your TDSB or your transmission costs are always fixed. So to give you a better picture of what I just summarized in terms of the contract, I wanted to put it in perspective of this graph. What you have on the graph is a natural gas chart, okay? So all utilities, for the most part, price their energy off the cost of natural gas because the power plants use natural gas as a primary source of fuel. So as you can see here, prior to 2009, natural gas was at its peak when the markets were high. So I would imagine and guessing that the extension was probably done to obtain a lower price due to the high natural gas at that time. So in 2011, prices were hovering around 6.5 cents for natural gas. So it does make sense to us that your contract price would have been 7.4, because usually it's a penny to a penny and a half more retail price what natural gas is. Okay, and I'll give you another explanation of that, or a comparison of that. So probably what happened in 2011 was TCAP came back to the city and says, hey, listen, price has gone down. So in order to get you a better price, we're going to extend your contract out, but we're going to lock you in at 7 cents. And it's lowered by so many cents. What that is, I still don't know because we couldn't find the contract, okay? But it was in an effort to save the city some money, okay? However, it wound up obligating the city through 2017, okay? That's the downside of it. It extended the contract out. As a result, what you'll see on the next page is the prices, or you can even see it on this one, but the price of natural gas continued to fall. So where we are today is the price of natural gas is about 2.2 cents right now. And what happens is the market continued to significantly decrease, and the long-term extension taken even to 2017, this allows you that opportunity to take advantage of what market rates are, okay? So in comparison, what we did is we were able to take your meter list that was provided to us. We put that out on the market and asked the companies, quote us the price today. What would the cost of energy be today for the city if they were to begin a new contract today? And the price that was quoted for us was 3.540 cents per kilowatt hour. That's the difference of almost 4 cents from your current rate, okay? So using or looking at your city meter usage, you presently use about 6 million kilowatt hours per year, okay? And as a result, what we've seen that difference is that the city is missing out on about $237,000 worth of savings a year now that the price has gone that low. Invariably, I think the previous administration was attempting to make some savings for the city. I'm not faulting them for that, but what winds up happening is going longer terms, then you're tied in, okay? It's kind of like in the sense of stock market. You want to buy low and sell high, right? So really, we just recently renegotiated the contract for the County of Hidalgo and saved them $3.5 million because we locked it in at a low rate for a period of 4 to 5 years. You don't want to lock in when the price is high. What probably should have been done is said, we'll go for another year, lower the price down for another year, and then let's see what happens then. If it would have kept lowering, then you keep renegotiating your contract. But it was locked in through 2017. Turning to the last page, our recommendation is, knowing and understanding now in the interview of the city staff, TCAP doesn't have a representative for you that you speak to or deal with on a weekly, monthly basis. In all the agreements, we have learned and we have found that you can consider your option to terminate the agreement. The current agreement, from what we read, had a termination clause that the city would be required to pay 0.0015 cents per kilowatt hour, or approximately $9,000 per year, okay? Since you still had about 2 years left on your contract, that would be about $18,000 to get out of your current contract. However, realizing that your long-term savings is $230-something thousand, it might be worth, trying to exit out of the current contract and renegotiate a new contract. However, that's just based on our review, and we are recommending the legal counsel review, which I believe Ms. Baez had also begun to work with legal in determining what that payment penalty would be, or to at least assurances. Right now, I'm just estimating based on our opinion. We're not legal, we're not lawyers, so obviously contract parameters need to be looked at in more detail. But our recommendation is probably that you would definitely foresee a savings. Even today, the price of energy remains low. The market is still low. And what we are projecting to see is it's going to continue as oil and gas are low right now, and they're foreseeing a low market in the coming months, probably at least through the presidential election. Then that's our feel for natural gas as well in the market. So we are prepared to continue working with Ms. Baez and legal if the city would like to continue to see this, but it certainly is a significant savings for you. And we're here at your disposal. Any questions?
Does the 0.39 rate that you gave us, does that include the distribution cost?
No, sir. Again, that does not include, this is only energy only.
And the contract fees, are those rolled into your 0.39 or?
No, they're not either. Yes, sir.
And that's where, so going back to the recommendation is simply in a sense would be I guess for us to consider any penalties, see and offset what would we be saving versus the penalties for that termination? And all right.
Yes, sir, that is correct. At $237,000, you're still looking at, a little over $12,000 per month, just in savings. So if you had to, and I know that one-time payment could be negotiated as well with the company to say, we'll pay it to you in 2 payments, but we need to work on this. There are not any parameters in your contract that restrict you to negotiating that from what we've seen. Our previous experience, when we have seen other companies renegotiate the out of their contract, they have negotiated payment terms as well. So there is that possibility, but we don't know until we ask. So,
Something that I'm going to continue working, like Mr. Peña mentioned, we're going to go and have this analyzed and reviewed, and see if we can bring an action recommendation to you all in March. If there's something that we can save money,
I'm gonna recommend also, it's okay, not only the buyout clause, but look if there's any fluctuation fees, like if the market goes down,
okay.
can they go with the market?
That would be a fixed
is
rate,
it
correct,
locked
through a
in?
duration of the
Fixed
contract?
rate
It
versus
was
variable
trying
rate.
to be a fixed rate.
It's a
locked
fixed rate?
in.
yeah, it is a fixed rate contract.
What we're in right now?
Yeah. And most of them are, particularly for municipalities, the energy companies do offer a fluctuating rate contract. I won't say that they don't. But it's probably best for you to always have a fixed rate contract for purposes of budgeting. So,
Thank you.
thank you. We'll
Mr.
continue
Peña.
working with staff.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next, business and orders, number 8, executive session, chapter 551, Texas Government Code, section 551.071, consultation with attorney. Letter A, discussion and possible action, consultation with attorney regarding cause number DC 15604, BFI Waste Services of Texas LP, Allied Waste Services of Rio Grande Valley versus City of Rio Grande City, Texas, and its elected officials in their official capacity. It's 7:01 p.m. 2 p.m. And we have a
Mr. Mayor, I move that we take action as discussed and proposed in executive session.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye opposed? It carries. Number 9, adjournment. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. We have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye opposed? Please adjourn. It is 7:33 p.m.